Do you know how to tackle a problem question on vicarious liability? Well, lucky for you guys, it's literally one of my favourite talks to teach as a law lecturer. So we're going to look at a problem question together, but before we dive into it, let's start by figuring out how to structure a problem question on vicarious. I tend to ask my students to establish it within 3 parts. First, we're going to start off with an introduction onto what vicarious is, and then looking at the test involved when it comes to deciding if somebody's an employee. I always say to my own students, you cannot establish vicarious liability if you don't even know the employee actually works for the employer. The second thing we're going to have a look at is whether the employee is working within the course of their employment. This will cover various factors such as frolic of their own, authorised act in an unauthorised manner, even an unauthorised act in an unauthorised manner, and look at the cases that pop up below. And finally, we're going to look at whether the employee is doing any kind of unlawful act, which means we need to establish a closeness of connection between the unlawful act and the employment. So let's look at this problem question together. So applying that structure that I just spoke to you about, the first thing we need to establish is whether X essentially works for the employer or not. Now, please remember this is a completely fictitious scenario, but what do you think? If you were handling this in an exam question, which test out of control test, organisation test, economic reality would you be inclined to use? I'm not going to give you any hints there, but drop your comments so I can check them out for you. The second thing we need to look at is whether the employee is working within the course of their employment. So we know there's a situation where the employee is not quite doing the work in the way that they're meant to. What do you think this could essentially be classed as? But there is another problem with what the employee does once they leave the work and they're carrying out a shipment into another warehouse. Again, what do you think this tends to involve? Finally, we need to address what the employee does right at the end in relation to their manager. This should be quite easy based on the structure that I gave you, but again, drop your answers in the comments, and what I will do is I will post a rough plan for this one a bit later on once you've had a chance to digest it. If you've got any more problem questions you want me to tackle, then please let me know, or if you want me to look at vicarious evaluation, again, drop this in the comments.